My name is Dade Butler. I am the Customer Success Manager with Page Optimizer Pro. Today, we are going over how to read and understand Page Optimizer Pro reports. The first tab we will be going over is the Content Brief tab. Whether you are a beginner SEO just learning the ropes or a veteran who is taking on a new niche, we recommend starting optimization here. The Content Brief is purpose-built to make on-page SEO as easy as possible. Think of it like having an expert SEO leaning over your shoulder, guiding your hand through optimization. At the top of the content brief will be critical information such as your content brief optimization score, recommended target word count, and section recommendation. Importantly, fulfillment of the target word count recommendation and section recommendation will not increase your content brief optimization score, though we still recommend fulfilling these recommendations. What is taken into account when assigning you a content brief optimization score is the important terms range at the top of each section. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, though, let's learn how to read the sections in the content brief. In the upper left-hand corner of each section will be the section title. Next to that title will be a tooltip. This tooltip will let you know what tag that particular section is looking at. To the right of that tooltip will be the aforementioned important terms range and the current count. The important terms range is the goal to shoot for, while the current count represents the current number of terms you have in that section's monitored tags. To the right of that will be the convenience features for your section. We have a radio dial to mark this section as complete or incomplete, and we have a button to access our notepad for this section. This is an incredibly convenient tool, as these notes are visible inside of the content editor as well as the Chrome extension when editing. Next, we have a button to collapse this section out of the way if we have already satisfied its recommendations. Finally, we have the ability to download this particular section as a TXT document. To download the entirety of the content brief, you'll need to click the three dots button in the Summary section. From there, you can download the entire content brief as a PDF or Excel document. For the meat and potatoes of the section, we have the Important Terms column, the Current Usage column, and the Target Range column. What the content brief wants you to do is use any combination of important terms up to the recommended target range. As your current usage for these terms rises, so too will the current count. As the current count gets within the important terms range, the content brief score will also rise. Keep in mind, however, that the target range is how much of a term it will count. For example, in this report, it will not count more than one instance of SEO towards our current count, but it will see additional usages inside of the current usage column. The next tab we will go over is the Page Structure tab. This tab, while not scored, can help you create a page that Google wants to see. The first sub-tab you will see here is the Content Prompts tab, which can help you with a variety of tasks, such as giving you a summary of the page structure suggestions, as well as giving you information about your competition's titles and subheadings. Related keywords you may want to write sections about, and related questions you may want to answer. If you ever get writer's block, this is a wonderful tab to use. The second sub-tab of the Page Structure tab contains suggestions on how many of each tag to include on your page. If your page is still needing to be built, it is a wonderful place to start, as once again, it allows you to give Google the type of page that it wants. For more in-depth analysis, the Advanced Analysis tab has you covered. When initially clicking into this tab, you'll be presented with the Dashboard sub-tab. This sub-tab gives you a brief synopsis of the recommendations you have in the Compare Data sub-tab, along with the ability to view all the variations in LSI for your report. Finally, if you have generated NLP information with your report, you'll also be able to see your Google entities here as well. But the primary tab you'll find yourself working in will be the Compare Data sub-tab. In the Compare Data tab, you can find signal-specific suggestions on how to improve your page. Be careful though, we do not recommend following any of these recommendations blindly. You'll need to use your SEO instincts and experience to determine the value of each recommendation. For that reason, we recommend novice SEOs stick to the content brief. The first suggestions you will see are the all competitor recommendations. These recommendations are given to you by analyzing data from all your competitors. You can also view suggestions based on your word count. These recommendations are given under the assumption that you are outside of your recommended word count range by plus or minus 20%. To provide an example, let's say your target word count was 1,000 words. You would want to use these recommendations if your page only had 500 or if it had 1,500 words. Below, you have the exact keyword, variation, LSI, and word count tabs. When working with this tab, we recommend doing all of your increase recommendations first, starting with exact keyword, variations, and then finally the LSI tab. If after that you still don't get the movement you want, then you should do reductions, following the same order of exact keyword, variations, and then LSI. Please note that reductions are a high-risk, high-reward strategy. Reducing can cause rapid rises or rapid falls. Regardless of where you do them, log the reductions you've made so that if you do experience a fall, you can then easily revert that change. The final tab we will be going over is the Custom Strategy tab. Here you can receive a to-do list of the recommendations from the Advanced Strategy tab. The bulk of the functionality at this tab will be at the top. Here we can change our scoring strategy from the content brief to the signal scoring strategy, or vice versa. This changes the displayed score on your report's report cards after selecting to have saved that strategy. We can also view our current and target word count here. The key features of this tab is the ability to adjust the to-do list on the fly by changing selections under the strategy and approach sections. With the strategy section, you can select to view recommendations using all competitors, adjusted for your word count, focus competitors, highest signal numbers, and custom. All competitors is the standard recommendations from the Compare Data subtab. Adjusted for your word count is recommendations given under the assumption that your page is outside of the recommended plus or minus 20% range for your target word count. Focus competitors are recommendations given to you based on only your focus competitors' data. And finally, highest signal numbers are recommendations given based on which competitor has the highest count for that particular signal. This is to say, if 9 of your competitors had only one exact keyword in their title, but one had 50, then the tool would recommend that you have 50 in your title as well. For approach, this adjusts the recommendations by increasing or lowering the recommendation. For example, with hyper-aggressive, a recommendation to add 10 of an exact term may turn into a recommendation to add 15 or 18, whereas with conservative, it may go from 10 to 7 or 8. With that, you know how to read Page Optimizer Pro reports and are ready to get optimizing. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day and happy optimizing!